I actually think if you let Mo Salah go, it almost becomes harder to make a couple of sales you might want to make in attack, even if some offers come in. If you know what I mean, because you end up in a situation where you're already one known option down. If you see what I mean. So for instance, let's use Diaz as a good example. I think Diaz is always a really interesting player. There was a lot of chat about him last summer. This summer, first half of the season, a fair amount of output, played really well. But it might be that Liverpool might have their eye on, or someone might come in for him. He's constantly sort of linked away of all of our players loads. If you're going to rebuild the attack and you're going to rebuild it around sort of, we want to get a really good centre forward in, that player might not actually be Nunez, but you might think to yourself, well, there's nothing wrong with having Nunez be the backup if that's now the way you were playing. If you sort of see what I mean, you can end up going down this loop of, because if you let Salah go and then you let another two attackers go, you're in a position where that's so much work to do in that one phase of the pitch.
But I think you've just got to do it, because I think if you are letting him go, they will have to try and see this as an opportunity. Okay, well, what is this an opportunity to do? They can't just go and get another right winger and think we'll be better next season.
Absolutely.
I don't think they can do that. They certainly can't do it at centre half. That is absolutely impossible. So if Virgil goes, it's okay. Well, who are we getting? We need two centre halves. Then you're looking to have him with Konate, and then you say, okay, well, we haven't got quite a Virgil, but we think we've got a guy who could be the next Virgil, and also we've got our third choice. We've made that better as well. So it's looking at each position and how you strengthen it, and it is possible, but it's really, really hard. And like you say, it's not just a case of replacing them like for like, because the like for likes aren't there. So you need to start, they need to move Nunez out, for example, and get an amazing sort of number 9 in. And then if your right winger's not quite as good as Salah, but you've jumped up in the other position, then it is possible to be better.
But you do need cover, is what I'm saying as well.
Yeah, but you've got two players there. You've got Jota and Nunez. Okay. So I'm talking about you selling one and then improving on the other. And so it's how you end up overall. And like I said, it is possible to end up overall. I'm just not sure they've got it in them.
I thought it's exceptionally hard.
We're talking about the idea of transition here, and transitions moving from one state or place to the other, and there's a process in that. And my worry about all of this is Liverpool end up league champions, and they do the thing that they've only done twice in my lifetime if they manage it this season, and then this isn't transition because we're doing it all at once. This is starting again to me. If you're talking about signing 6 or 7 new players here, and you're removing a captain and you're removing 2 players from a leadership group, 3 players from leadership, the vice captain as well, you're saying to the manager, thanks very much for what you've got here and what you've done here. Now we go again, we start again, and that's a massive job that you're putting on him.
And by the way, I think your thing breeds discontent as well, Neil, because I think we've seen so often in the past that the thing that the people who love the transfers basically on social media want is not the a new signing thing. We don't just want repurposing of players for the better of the overall team. We want to see that if for example a 25 goal a season striker leaves, that Liverpool show the ambition to go and find who's the fella who's a 30 goal a season striker. Because let's be brutally honest about it, Luis Diaz isn't even close to a 20 goal a season forward. Darwin Núñez is not close to a 20 goal a season forward. Diogo Jota doesn't stay on the pitch enough, and I would argue is probably fading a bit from even being remotely close to a 20 goal season striker.
But I think my point here is that what you've therefore argued in this scenario where Salah goes is that we're moving forward the forward line on.
Yeah, and that's
in one summer, and that is that. So I take John's point of you want to get better in all areas, but you end up you can either do it one or two ways. Obviously there's degrees and everything.
Yeah.
And my point is more, you can either end up doing what John's arguing, which is you go right, the whole department gets renovated, bang, or alternatively you end up in a situation where the manager himself might be thinking to himself, well, a couple of lads who know what they do.
Yeah, I think they keep the left hand side. I think he's got to look at it and think Gakpo and Diaz. Regardless of if that's exactly sort of who he wants, that I'll do another year with them. So you do have to be sort of realistic in terms of what you kind of achieve. But I think they do need to find a way to, if you look at the forward line as a whole, and Mark's out of 10 for sort of all of them, you need to end up with an average higher, and they need to try and do that, and you're getting rid of a 10. And you're getting rid of a 10 as a back.
You're getting rid of the one that when we went into this season, I was looking at the players and I was going, right, the 6 that we've got in attack, there's question marks around all of them except Salah, but there's a question mark around Salah with because of the contract. And then you lose Salah, and so we go into a new season where there's question marks around either the new signings that they bring in. There's still question marks around the left-hand side that we're talking about not replacing because we've got rid of the best player in the world in his position in the forward line. This is the bit that my only sort of the one time in my life that Liverpool have been successful over a sustained period, which is under Jurgen Klopp. It felt as if we were building something.
Yeah,
what did I say? That Jesus Christ, it's been a long 10 days.
Don't edit that out, Perth. I want that kept in at all costs.
We keep everything in. Under Jurgen you were constantly building towards something.
I was just going to say, like, I think, like, they need to be wary, like, that all those different positions are going to breed, like, so much discontent. So I'm talking about, like, the you know, the whole, like, a new signing thing there. Like I can see that a mile off if like, you know, even if just one of these stays, and I know we're going to come on to talk about that scenario, but, like, even if it's you know, two that do go, two that do stay, whatever, like, they're leaving themselves with such a big job to do that, like, people are naturally going to ask questions, and I think there'll be some people who I think it's going to be a bit of a test of their, like, what they actually want, because, you know, the people who've been crying out for transfers for years. So if you know, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards suddenly go, well, here's all the transfers you could ever have dreamed of, then there's going to be a lot of us who probably, you know, want Liverpool to just have a bigger and better squad, whether it's through transfers, whether it's through, you know, lads through the academy coming up, whether it's through the just, you know, repurposing of talent from within. Like, we're going to be the ones who are sat going, you still need to prove this to us, by the way, because as Craig said, you're going from a squad where, like, you know, I've got some question marks about the current squad. It's not very many, because we're 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. So, like, you suddenly go from having not very many question marks to now there's a question mark in basically, you know, every position across the pitch.